अपना इस जर्नी देखा जाए breathe like 28 of this month, which is Monday.
आगे हम काम को ना रोका गया
only growing stronger till down my heart. I'm thinking all the time where the day will come, standing there before you, except this touch of mine, standing in it all, looking at the wall, speaking blessings from your world. Challenge is the fun, my world rekindles my heart. Oh, I am waiting for the call.
मेरे पास कहाँ से फरिश्ते आते हैं?
When I can see the
जॉब के तो भी नहीं
हम लोग तो
I can feel this running in my veins. See my Muslim brothers, how they purchased all the chains, greeting one another, becoming one to remain. I truly hope one day that everyone's a Muslim, that they remember you in everything they say.
Get the snacks, we've got the energy, but a bit louder than that, we'll try again. Assalamu alaikum. Those who don't know me, my name is Muhammad Yassin Taki, and I will be the MC for this evening. We are running late, so the opening part I will try to rush. I'll give you the highlights for the evening's program. We will have a Quran Tilawat by our famous Imam from Bravery, Mama, and then we will have a Brother Sejal will come and welcome, and the history of Al-Amin and the achievements of Al-Amin. Then I will introduce the guest speaker, Rana Ayyub. She will speak for 30 minutes or 45 minutes, whatever time is allocated to, about 45 minutes. And then at 8, which will be now 8:15 more or less, we will have the Al-Amin Community Building Awards. We will have Maghrib Salah, and shortly after that we will have dinner, inshallah. So with these few words, I call upon Imam Maula to recite the Quran and give a translation in English, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم تروا كيف خلق الله 7 سماوات طباقا وجعل القمر فيهن نورا وجعل الشمس سراجا والله أنبتكم من الأرض نباتا ثم يعيدكم فيها ويخرجكم إخراجا والله جعل لكم الأرض بساطا لتسلكوا منها سبلا فجاجا صدق الله العظيم. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. I was asked to give a translation of what I just recited, but instead of a translation, just briefly for a minute, these verses of the Quran, they deal with signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the universe around us. And indeed, one of the greatest signs of Allah in the universe around us is actually the human being themselves. And, you know, the reason I decided to attend this gathering here today is something that I would like all of us to reflect upon before I leave the stage, inshallah, is that we're gathered here to honor the service of a journalist, a fellow sister of ours, and she did this in the service of the truth and humanity. And this is something that is admirable. And for those of us sitting over here, the majority of us, I believe, are Muslim, we are reminded of a particular hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Before the Prophet ﷺ actually became a prophet, there was a pact in Makkah al-Mukarramah known as Al-Fudul, Hilful Fudul. And Hilful Fudul, basically what that pact was, that individuals in the community came together. And we have to remember, the Prophet ﷺ has not yet received the first revelation. And their pact was that they will support the oppressed against the oppressor, no matter what it means. Basically, this was their pact. And many years later, the Prophet ﷺ, after he had already become a prophet, after he had migrated to Medina Munawwara, on an occasion he was reminded of this pact. And the Prophet ﷺ, he actually said that even today, if somebody gave me this pact, that you were a party to this pact at that time, and today an oppressed person needs your help, I would come and I would heed that call. I would help the oppressed against the oppressor. So in that spirit, we are gathered to commemorate someone's work today and see what we can do to help, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan.
So next speaker is Brother Sijad, who will welcome and speak on the Al-Amin history and achievement. Brother Sijad. Brother Sijad? I thought you just said it. So, I guess you can wrap it in 5 minutes? Try best.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, on behalf of Al-Amin editorial board, I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking out precious time during the weekdays to come and see us over here. I'm just going to go briefly, as fast as I could, to highlight some of the stuff and describe what Al-Amin is, what Al-Amin was, and where we're headed, inshallah. Passion. One word that sums up the people behind Al-Amin. Passion. Passion to selflessly serve the community. Passion to learn. Passion to educate the community. Passion for safeguarding our community's interest. By the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now for more than 15 years, people behind Al-Amin Post has been serving the Muslim community. We have always tried to put the community's interest first. It has allowed us to be objective as well as critical. Critical when needed, without fear. This is what allows us to take a stand which we feel is better. This is what allows us to take a stand which we feel is better course of option for the community and its future. And this is what allows us to be objective. We know at times when we are advancing a certain course, we meet headwinds. We realize that we're swimming upstream. There's more opposition, but no matter what happens, two things are evident. They are certain. Whatever it is that we are doing with sincere honesty and having the agenda in our mind to keep the interest for our community. And in due time, hindsight is 20/20. In due time, people do realize that whatever we were taking, whatever the stand we had taken, there was a reason, there was a rhyme to it. Now, who is Al-Amin Post? Over time, the initial brothers who started this paper, they left. Most of them were from Masjid al-Nur, Brother Bamji there. There were a whole bunch of brothers at Masjid al-Nur decided to form some sort of a media outlet to give voice to the Muslim community. At one point, we realized the board was thinning out very much. We included Imam and community scholars such as Imam Ziyad Talij, Qari Saab, Qari Abdul Wahab, and the brothers. There was a time we needed really some young blood in the editorial board. So we invited Brother Musa Ismail and Brother Dr. Ghazali to join us. We needed some guidance from our youth. It is not the managing editors, Jafar Bamji or Shazad Mansouri, or our past editorial board members, Musa Ismail, Dr. Ghazali, Brother Omar Fayoum Khan, Brother Hani Al-Gawad, and countless others whom have helped us guide our policies for editorial content. It's everyone, but first and foremost, it is our readers who provide us the reason to continue. It is our advertisers who provide us with the financial means through the advertisement dollars to maintain the expense. It is the content writers and the contributors who work diligently and tirelessly, often without compensation, by ensuring their piece is delivered. And I'm pretty sure Brother Yasin Taki and Alim Kamal and many others would guarantee that they've been emailing articles from Fiji and Australia, New Zealand, wherever they are sometimes, to make sure that we meet the deadline. Now, what is Al-Amin? It is more than just your average bi-weekly community newspaper. Over the past 15 years, it has established itself into an institution, from advocacy to charitable trust and everything in between. The editorial board members, all of them with local mosque, all of them are connected with the local mosque boards, from BCMA's past president to local BCMA chapters, BCMA flagship, Richmond's past secretary, and current East directors and Constitution Review Community secretary to Ikra School Board of Education serving members. It has evolved into a single source of mainstream media to turn to in regards to Muslim communities' issues. Our editorial board members have been featured speaking on communities' behalf on a number of issues with prominent media outlets such as CBC Television and CBC Radio. Our son did a double-page feature article on Al-Amin. We get calls as far as Toronto and Winnipeg, La Source. The history of Alameen Post is now very complicated. In the aftermath of 9/11, the media backlash against the Muslim community, it became imperative. It became imperative for the local Muslim community to have an avenue to get their message out, have a voice of their own to counter the propaganda fueled by the mainstream media against the Muslim community, as well as, unfortunately, sadly, by our own community papers. Few local brothers, most of them praying regularly at the Masjid al-Nur, who were passionate, dedicated, self-motivated, and vocal to create and develop a local Muslim community's narrative, a narrative that would or could eventually engage the wider Canadian society. There's always two sides to the story. Everyone knows that, however, as Salman said, if you repeat a lie over and over again, it becomes an established truth. And this is what's happening, what the Western media is doing, but the mainstream media is doing with their propaganda against Islam and Muslims. They will keep repeating the lie over and over again, and the other side of the story never gets out. So, in doing so, media's bread and butter is selling fear, exasperating fear, by massaging the truth and providing hope by flirting with the truth. And unfortunately, in this equation, under the current circumstances, Muslims happen to be at the wrong end of the stick or wrong end of the history. So don't worry about it, It was Germans, it was Vietnamese, it was Koreans, it was Russians. They all had their turns. Now it's your turn. After 10 years, they will pass away and someone else, America will pick on somebody else, and we'll move on. And 10, 12 years, we're still trying to fight Islamophobia. From day one, Al-Amin's team's goal has always been to serve the community interest, become their voice by countering the narrative wrapped in fear. All the times keeping in mind the wider Canadian audience. We need to disseminate the correct information from Islamic perspective to demonstrate to wider Canadian audience the Muslims are not what is being projected by the media, and to highlight the fallacies in Western media's hateful, baseless, and self-serving and misguided propaganda against Islam and Muslims. To a degree, very small degree, but to a degree, we believe we have achieved that. However, we are long away from conquering it. No. Now, anyone can make a noise. Anyone can make a noise. Having a voice is not just having a voice. Anyone can make a noise, but is it effective? And that has always been the goal and the target of Al-Amin editorial board. Is we just don't want to have a voice. We want to have an effective voice.
For the Halka, apologies for the pronunciation, but now works independently. And this is open and closing very common. If you keep forgetting the past, you'll never get justice. And that is a quote by Rana Ayyub, and I'll repeat again. If you keep forgetting the past, you will never get justice. Ayyub's investigation of the alleged Gujarat fake encounters has been listed by the Outlook magazine as one of the 20 greatest magazine stories of all time across the world. That's a remarkable achievement. She is the author of Gujarat Files, Anatomy of a Cover, is post-2002 Gujarat riots in which, according to official data, 790 Muslims were killed, while the state police just watched. Official numbers are closer to 2,000, and more than 2,500 others were injured, and many are displaced till today. Ayyub documented the transcripts of recordings made using a concealed recording device. What's a gutsy lady, you know? You go out in the enemy section, disguise yourself, taking all the risk. You have seen journalists, you've seen what Al Jazeera journalists are facing in Egypt. So she took the risk. The recordings were made in the course of an undercover investigation to reveal the views of bureaucrats and police officers on the post-2002 Gujarat riots and police encounter killings. She posed as a student of American Film Institute to enable her to make the recordings. In 2010, at the age of 26, she was able to send through her work Amidst, the current BJP president, to prison on charges of murder, conspiracy, extortion, kidnapping, and 5 other sections of the Indian Penal Code. She needs a help, guys. In 2011, she received the Sanskriti Award for Excellence in Journalism. Come on, guys. Doesn't cost you anything. A number of writers in India and across have really appreciated the work. And one of the writers, Ramchandra Goha, is an Indian historian and writer whose research includes environmental, social, and he has been chair in history and international affairs of London School of Economics. What she called Ayyub's Gujarat Files, a brave book. Jyoti Malhotra is a senior journalist based in New Delhi, and she wrote this article, Why Did the Mainstream Media Block Out Rana Ayyub's book on the Gujarat riots and fake encounters? Has noted that many journalists have privately applauded Ayyub's courage in authoring Gujarat Files. So she has received a lot, and I'm pretty sure she must be receiving death threats from all across India with the present situation. Her book has been translated into 12 languages, and as I understand, more than 100,000 copies has been sold. So I call upon Rana Ayyub. Rana.
Assalamualaikum. Good to see you all turn up in big numbers compared to the last time when I was quite cynical that most of you are not interested, but it's always good to see. It's always promising to see a lot of you here. It would have been very encouraging though had the youth outnumbered the relatively middle-aged people here, but then again, I'll keep that for later.
That's a
No, it's
compliment.
just that, it's just a reminder that our youth need to be educated on what happened, right? Sorry if I was told that I have about half an hour or 45 minutes. I'm a woman of few words. I'll try to wrap up in 15. So as I was coming here, I came in from Montreal last night, and since morning, because my India numbers weren't working, so a lot of news channels have been mailing me, writing to me saying, where are you, we can't reach you. And I was wondering what happened. So apparently in India, triple talaq has been declared unconstitutional, right? It's a great thing. I mean, triple talaq is un-Islamic, but they've been calling me for the wrong reason. Because this was the same media which did not even bother to pick up a phone call to speak to me about my book, which Gujarat Files. But you must understand that what is happening vis-a-vis triple talaq in India is not a cultural religious issue. It's an attempt to basically brand Islam as a regressive faith, and to also lead to a uniform civil code in India, which will basically bring an end to the Muslim Personal Law Board, which I think is a dangerous step in itself. So I am not going to laud, it's quite encouraging when I see the Muslim Personal Law abolished, but I wish it was done for the right reasons. So that's again to tell you exactly why the Indian media loves me. They call me when it's something related to the Muslim issue and they want me to bash Islam and other things, but unfortunately I'm a practicing Muslim and I quite love my faith. I've been asked to speak about Gujarat Files, my book, so I'm not sure how many of you have read it here, so I'll give you a brief history of what happened. I'm a Bombay girl, born and brought up in Bombay, India, and I've been in journalism for the last 10, 11 odd years, and I've been working with various news channels and publications, and I was the editor of Tehelka, which is one of the investigative and political news magazines in India, known for its terrific work. So I was the editor of the magazine till 2013, where I resigned on ethical grounds. I'm a child of the 92 Bombay riots. So I'm not sure how many of you are aware of the Bombay riots, but it was one of the worst possible carnages of Muslims in India after independence, when the Babri Masjid the iconic Babri Masjid was demolished, and I was just about 9. I did not quite have a religious identity per se. I was just about an easygoing Muslim. I mean, at the age of 9, you don't quite know things, because I was a part of a very cosmopolitan society, where religion did not quite play a major role. On 6th December 1992, when the Babri Masjid was demolished, there was a big poster on our door which said, "Chalo Ayodhya 6 December." So Ayodhya was the mandir which they wanted to build after the masjid was demolished. And suddenly, on 6th December, I became a Muslim. I wasn't one, but I was forced to become a Muslim by circumstances. There was an attempt by the right-wing people around our society to abduct me and my sister and take them, till a Sikh family kind of took us in their shelter, and we were in refuge, and we were staying in refuge for 2 months. I'm not sure, I felt pretty helpless at that point of time, because everybody who used to come to my uncle's place at that point of time used to say, "Oh, are there refugees?" And that felt quite humiliating, to say the least. Anyways, a few years after that, I was in college, and the 2002 Gujarat riots took place. I realized that I wasn't that helpless, so I went there as a relief worker for the first time in my life. I told my family I was going on a trek. That's for the first time I wore a bindi, because again, this time I was made to realize that you're a Muslim and my name is very ambiguous. Rana, so not a lot of, the Indian sensibility quite does not get that Rana is a Persian word, so it was easier for me. But I had to put a bindi, and I'd use a different surname to kind of tell people that I'm a Hindu, and I have seen at close quarters the butchering of Muslims, and this was happening barely kilometers away from the residence of the Chief Minister of Narendra Modi, who is now the Prime Minister of India, fortunately and unfortunately. A shameful thing though, but, and yet that was when I decided to become a journalist. I guess, there was a lot of idealism involved. I went on to study journalism, and in journalism colleges they taught us about idealism and how it was an ideal world, and then you have to fight to get the truth out. So I went around with that idealism till 2010. my investigation on the fake encounters, where I got the evidence for the investigation at 2 in the night in a graveyard, where an official called me in a graveyard and said, he was not willing to give the evidence to the bureaucrats concerned. And I did a lot of hard work, and I sent the first serving Home Minister of India behind bars, who is Amit Shah, the man who is now the president of the ruling party in India, and who is trying to make, actually we shouldn't be clapping at this because he's now the president of the ruling party, so it's a matter of shame for me and a lot of us Indians who voted him to power, and who has ensured that the last 5 years of my life have not been a cakewalk. My life is, my day starts with threatening emails and phone calls telling me telling me that they know where I am, etc., etc. But it feels good to be in circulation in the right way. As long as they think I'm a threat. I sent him behind bars, and then I realized that the truth of the carnage was not revealed, and the officials who were questioned about what was happening was, were not speaking the truth. So I went undercover. I went undercover as Maithili Tyagi. So I got this name, Maithili, which is the second name of goddess Sita. So I thought if I keep a very Hinduized name, it might just endear me to the people I'm doing a sting operation on. And with a few fake identity cards, I got a fake PAN card, fake driving license, passport. I became this student from the American Film Institute Conservatory who used to hate Muslims, who hated the minority appeasement in India. And I got a few cameras stitched in my clothes, in my watch and other places. And that's how I entered Gujarat. For about 8 months, I was undercover, living in a small room, living the life of a filmmaker, a bigoted filmmaker for that matter. And in a span of 8 months, I did a sting operation on some of the top guys in the bureaucracy, which meant the Deputy General of Police, the Commissioner of Police, the Home Secretary, the people closest to Narendra Modi. And what came out of that sting operation was baffling for me as a journalist. The Commissioner of Police said, it felt so good when I saw Muslims being killed on the streets. That was all recorded. The Home Secretary said, I felt ashamed as a Home Secretary of a state because what I saw, it hurt my conscience. Another officer said, the fake encounters which were being happening, where Muslim women were being touted as terrorists out to kill Narendra Modi, they were actually young, innocent women, and Amit Shah, the president of the ruling party, actually kept them at their bungalow. And so the truth was all there. For the first time in the history of India, this kind of truth was out there from the horse's mouth. And I thought that I was one of the few people who was rewriting history. Again, the idealism was all there. And the last person who I did a sting operation was Narendra Modi. So I had a French colleague with me, and I had a pastry chef from Denmark, and they all posed as colleagues and filmmakers during that period. So the last person I met was Narendra Modi. I walked into his office as Maithili Tyagi, the girl who was trying to talk about the good things about Gujarat and how Narendra Modi was an international icon. So we walked in with my French colleague who said, "Oh sir, we have been hearing such great things about you," and Mr. Modi started blushing because praise from a foreigner means a great deal to him, even now. So we were talking, and then he showed me books on Barack Obama and Swami Vivekananda and said, "One day I want to be like Barack Obama." It was fascinating. I thought, this man is really smoking something really potent. But you have to give it to him. Today, that man is the Prime Minister of India. He dined with Barack Obama. He's dining with Ivanka Trump and Donald Trump. So look at that audacity of hope. This man really relentlessly pursued his dream, although walking over dead bodies, but he reached where he was. So armed with all my tapes, I returned to Tehelka, my organization, and again, the idealism died a quick death when the editors of my organization, who were known for their pro-justice, pro-minorities work, decided not to publish my investigation because they thought that I had reached right to the top and this could perhaps harm the prospects of the organization and that it would be shut down. And I just looked at them as if I was a guinea pig who was sent on an experiment, and I didn't know how to cope with it. 5 years after that, I went through a great deal of psychiatric treatment. I had nervous disorders, nervous breakdowns. because I could not deal with the fact that I knew the truth of the Gujarat riots and the encounters and the political murders, and I could not do a thing about it. In 2013, I resigned from Tehelka on ethical grounds because my editor was involved in molesting one of our colleagues, and I took an ethical stand in resigning from that organization. One good thing that came out of it was that I managed to sneak out with the tapes, which nobody noticed in the office because everybody was busy trying to cover up the molestation. So I left the organization. I went to every possible editor in the country. Every possible editor who's the top guy in India right now, who are all friends, great friends of mine. And they all said, Rana, what the stuff that you have done, I mean, they all saw the tapes, they saw the transcript, they said, this is unreal. How could people say that? These are the same people who have been silent over decades. I said, okay, I thought it was promising, right? So editors would publish the work. And in the same breath, they said, you know what? But Modi is coming to power next year in all probability. And we really cannot do this. How about doing it a year or 2 years later? I went on from one to the other, and every editor had the same argument. Some said, oh, we don't believe in sting operations. Finally then, I got a book contract with one of the biggest publication houses in the world, and they saw a great deal of potential. They thought this is going to be one of the books of India. In 2014 January, they stopped taking my phone calls, which means they were no longer keen to publish my book, because by 2014 January, it was pretty clear that Modi was coming to power. Again, in 2015, I had another contract. That did not fall through after 6 months. Finally, in 2016, when I realized, I used to go to my shrink very often, my psychiatrist, and I used to cry in front of him. So he said, you know what? Either throw those tapes, get rid of them, or get them out of you and publish them. So I decided to do that. I did not have the apparatus with me. I took a couple of personal loans, sold my gold, and finally self-published my book on 22nd May 2016, which was last year. I published about 500 copies, and I said, at least I will give it to the mainstream media so that they read it. I know that, but I thought there was going to be a ban on the book, to be very honest. But then immediately after I realized there cannot be a ban in the book. Mr. Modi is a very smart man. He will not get a ban in the book, because the banning the book would mean that a lot of people would read the book. You know, in India, it works on curiosity. You ban something and they all want to read it. And you tell them straight away they don't want to read it. So I really wanted the book to be banned, to be very honest. But that didn't happen, and on the day of my book launch, so I got my family in from Bombay, I flew them in from Bombay, and I said, just be there in the audience, because it's just a hall meant for 100 people. In case nobody turns up, which I was pretty sure nobody would turn up, I said, at least you guys will be there in the audience. But before we reached, there were about 100 people already, and in a matter of minutes, there were about 600 people in a hall meant for 100. None of them could read, but they were all standing, and they were the top editors. Every possible politician in India, from the top to the bottom, they were all there at the book launch. That was really encouraging, and I said, okay, this is again not worth clapping, because you don't know what's coming after this. And so, I got a standing ovation. I said, okay, so tomorrow's headline is clear that Modi stands exposed in India. I got up in the morning, not a single news item in the newspapers. Wow. But there was a text from everybody lauding me, congratulating me. Everybody, that you're the bravest woman we know of, blah, blah, blah. And I knew that this battle is not ending anytime soon. But ever since that day to this day, as I'm here speaking to you in Vancouver, I have done roughly around 550 events, at least 400 in colleges and schools, where I go to every possible college and school and tell them what happened, and tell them about my book and the contents. I read out chapters, because I want them to know what happened, because telling them is the only way. And I know when history is being written, people like me, insane people like me, will be mentioned as people who stood up for their conscience. Right. As I stand today, we are already out in 13 languages, and yesterday I signed a contract for the Arabic and French version of the book. And I've already sold 1,70,000 copies, which is one of the biggest achievements for any book in India in the last 1 year, especially for a non-fiction book. And that is worth clapping. But that's where it all ends. I mean, this is all good for speaking, but the truth is that communalism in India is at its worst. Minorities have never felt more stifled than they are today in India. Never. I mean, just 2 days ago, the people responsible for one of the biggest blasts in India, the Malegaon blast, in which many Muslims lost their life. The Hindu leaders were allowed to go scot-free. And I can't tell you how disappointing it is to me, because I was one of the few people who investigated the case and got the right-wing agenda on board. So again, that's happening. We have got people being killed on the streets of India on the suspicion of carrying beef. This when India is the largest exporter of beef across the world. Yeah. So, you know, the cow is our mother when we get, only when Muslims eat it, but cow is not the mother when it helps in the economy. So, but I know I've been told that I should not be very harsh on Muslims, but you know, that's second nature to me. I can't not be harsh on Muslims. I got to be harsh on you because India has a population of 1.2 billion and we are 14 to 15% of the population. That's quite a lot, right? And if there's a lynching on the street and 10 Muslims in span of, I don't know, 3 to 4 months, ideally, Muslims should have been out in the streets. Ideally. There was a protest called Not in My Name in India, you must be aware of. It was held all over the country and various other countries. There were about 100 people who gathered for the protest, and mind you, only about 10 or 5 were Muslims. Yeah, that's what I call your iman, because we all talk about our iman, right? That our iman, Muslims, you know, we grow beards, we talk about iman, we wear our pajamas till our taken our butt. But that's how we are. That's how we are. That's how hypocritical we are as a society. You know, I'm sorry to be very harsh on you, but this is, I got to say this, because if I don't say this, I don't know who else will say this. The richest body of Muslims in India is the Waqf Board, and it's doing nothing. But the only thing it's doing in India right now is to lease out properties of Muslims to the biggest industrialists and keeping the money with themselves. There's not a single Muslim leader in India who will speak up every time there's an atrocity against Muslims. That's how shameful it is. That's how claustrophobic it is. I do not feel claustrophobic in India because I'm a Muslim. Because of what is happening to Muslims in India. I am feeling claustrophobic as a Muslim in India because of the silence of my fellow Muslims. Because I know you are not complicit in what you're doing. I mean, you are not complicit in lynching, but you are complicit in your silence. So when you sit in your living rooms and you clap and you kind of laud me, and you kind of criticize the government, I'm sorry, you ought to be equally blamed for it. So please take the blame. That's the first step towards reaching out. Please take the blame. Everywhere I go for events, they tell me, so what are you doing next? And I want to really look at them and stare at them and say, why me? Why am I supposed to do everything? Why are you shooting from my shoulder? When are you going to speak? I am not here as your representative, to be very honest. I am doing whatever I'm doing for my conscience. I'm being very, very selfish here. I released my book, I self-published my book because I did not want to die like an animal. Even an animal gets 3 meals in a day, trust me. They all manage to get their food, and I did not want to die an animal's death. I put my work out there because I wanted truth to be seen and be told. It's quite exhausting. It's really exhausting. I wish someday, I don't know what to do to wake up not just a Muslim but every possible minority in India from its slumber. You know, Muslims in India, we have a mosque very close by to our place. So my father goes for namaz every morning. So one of the days he got very late and it was the Jummah prayers. So he went on to some other mosque and he came back very baffled and he was very angry. So I said, what happened? He said, when I went to the mosque, it was a new mosque for me. And it was written outside in bold that Deobandis and dogs not allowed inside. If you know what I mean. We are so divided in ourselves. That's how. This is not just about Deobandis and Braveries, mind you. We are divided at various other levels. At social levels, at class-wise, religion-wise, sectarian-wise. What's happening in Pakistan? During Eid prayers, you're killing fellow Muslims. Look at what Saudi Arabia is doing. You are giving Narendra Modi the highest civilian honor. Right? I have been going to various countries. In Canada, I've been given a free leash to speak what I want to. But when I went to Dubai, before I went onto the stage, the organizers said, listen, don't speak anything about Narendra Modi. That's an Islamic country for you. That's how ashamed I feel about being a Muslim. That's how ashamed I feel. And the reason why I'm speaking to all of you here is that just because you're in Canada, irrespective of your nationality, do not think that this is not going to come to your door. Trust me, it's coming to your door next. It's not just happening to me, it's happening to you next. You think that sitting here in Canada, you can watch the events there and living it vicariously. No, it's not happening. You know, there is an Urdu share which I don't remember. It's an Akbar Allahabadi share, and I keep forgetting कि उसके कत्ल पे मैं भी चुप था, मेरा नंबर अब आया, मेरे कत्ल पे तुम भी चुप हो, अगला नंबर तुम्हारा है. Please understand this. Please understand this. They are persecuting me today. Tomorrow it's going to be you. I am a persona non grata in India. I don't know what's going to happen to me tomorrow. I really don't know. I don't think they will attack me right now, but they will attack me once they're out of power. So I know, but I am taking that risk because it's well worth the risk. If in an audience like this, about 50 people, if I manage to kind of invoke the conscience of at least 2 of you, my job is done. My problem is, why don't all of you do the same thing? Yes. Why can't all of you speak up? You have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have social media. You do that to post pictures of the place where you went to eat food, right? Why can't you post a status message about your society and what's happening? I mean, think of it. I mean, I'm just thinking on top of my head, but it's a matter of shame. Every day I see my rich Muslim friends talking about, you know, the places they have visited in the world and the countries they're visiting. How about just sharing a status message on what happened on the family which was lynched in India for allegedly consuming beef? There was a Muslim boy, a 14-year-old Muslim boy called Junaid, who was going to do his Eid shopping, and he was lynched in the train by bullies, and they lynched him to death. And trust me, not a single mosque in India discussed this. You have Friday khutbahs, right? In your mosque, what are you doing? What are you doing it for? Growing beards? You're talking about growing beards, right? Is that all you want to do? I mean, couldn't you get better with your Friday khutbahs, getting people together, asking them to get rid of casteism within you, sectarianism within you? How difficult is that? So we have to I'm not here to blame Modi and Amit Shah. Trust me, they are the least of my concerns. They are the least of my concerns, because tomorrow, if the 14% of India, I'm talking about back in India, if the 14% of India unites in solidarity, Modi or Amit Shah will not have the audacity to even attack or point a finger at Muslims in the country if we were united. But the point is, we are not united. Even in Canada, I'm sure a lot of you might have various organizations and each one of you is competing with the other organization. That's how we are, right? We will never come together. Our iman is there. So if that's all I can tell you, my book Gujarat Files, when you read it, you will know it's a searing account, and I don't want to talk about it. Every time I talk about it, it brings memories which I don't want to discuss, or it's been painful. I mean, every day I go around in cities talking about the same thing over and over again. It's painful for me to discuss what I did as Maithili Tyagi, because for you it's easy to read the book. For me, I have lived it. I've lived 8 months as Maithili Tyagi, being that bigoted person, coming out of it, living in a house with just a dog and a snake for company for 8 months. Trust me. And I did that. There were days I would just break down and say, I don't want to do this anymore. But then the next morning I would get up and I would say, people need me. I'm right there. I mean, I was just 26. You know, at any given point of time in those 8 months, I could have been bumped off. Today, when I look back at it, I don't know what saved me. Perhaps the prayers of my parents saved me. But I could have been bumped off at any moment. Today, as I'm traveling various countries, I don't know if I'm going to live to see the next day tomorrow. Because of what I face. Every day I'm taking on the government, every day. All I want from you all is, you don't have to support me, but support yourself. Don't support me. I don't need your support. I'm doing well for myself. You know, I've fought a long battle, a tough battle. I'll fight my battles. But please fight your own battles and please be united. And that's what I want to tell you. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you.
Rana, thank you very much. So we'll move on. There will be we had a provision for question and answer period, but we will pass that later on. If you wish to discuss any issues, that you can do it personally with them. So the second part of the program, and we're fighting against time here, is the Al-Amin Community Building Awards. We have Salah attempts at 8:30. It's 8:15 right now. Can you defer for 5 to 10 minutes? No? Okay. So we'll do maybe half. Jafar?
We have 15 minutes for Salah.
15 minutes for Salah?
For after right now.
Okay, inshallah.
Just take 10 minutes.
Okay, so the next part is Al-Amin Community Building Awards. The awards are to acknowledge and appreciate individuals who have gone over and above the sense of community building. There are many areas where our community is lacking, and these individuals have stepped up their efforts with their determination to build a better community. By honoring these individuals, we expect to encourage individuals to undertake activities that create an inclusive community. At the same time, we show our appreciation to those exhibiting exceptional commitment and dedication in building a better community. So with these few introductory comments, I will call upon Brother Sikandar Khan, who will introduce our first recipient, who is Qari Abdul Wahab. And later on, I'll ask Brother Jafar to say a few words. And later on, Brother Sikandar and is Suk Daliwar here? And then later on, Suk Daliwar and Brother Sikandar will award this to Qari Abdul Wahab. So 3 items at the same time. So Brother Sikandar.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihi wa kareem. Sayyidina Muhammadi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. After listening to our guest, I am kind of encouraged to say few things, but I will pass it on in lieu of the time. I will go to the task on hand, inshallah, right away. Qari Abdul Wahab is there at the table. Oh. Oh, I've just been advised he had to go, emergency came. Sorry about that. He is from Gujarat, India. He memorized Quran at a very young age. And then he, pursuing his career, he studied Islamic Sharia at the Islamic University of Dabel in Gujarat, India, from 1965 to 1970. From there onwards, he studied fiqh, hadith, and tafsir at the Islamic University of Lucknow, India, from 1970 and 72. After graduation, he was appointed as head of Department of Tajweed and Qiraat at the Islamic University of Baruch in India. He also taught Arabic grammar and fiqh from 1972 to 1980. He came to Canada in 1980, and since then he has been a permanent resident and citizen of Canada. And let me add that since his arrival in Canada, he joined the BC Muslim Association, and till today he remains the Imam of British Columbia Muslim Association. That in itself is a feat that we ought to be very proud, because we have seen on many occasions imams or scholars, they come and they move on. But he stayed back, he nourished the community, and he has been the tower of strength, not only for the organization, but for the Muslim community at large. He has done tremendous work in the field of dawah. He has been a counselor to the youths. He has been a counselor to the elders. He has acted as marriage counselor. He has acted as advisor to the association, as a financial advisor, helping in fundraising for the association. His commitment, his dedication to the Muslim community is second to none, and we as a community, it's our moral duty to salute this individual. And I'm happy that Al-Amin have chosen him as one of the recipients, inshallah, of this prestigious award. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him for his effort, his family, and the Muslim community at large. Jazakallah khair.
Would you like to say a few words? Yeah. So, you can come on.
Assalamu alaikum. Qari Sahib is not here. I just wanted to let brothers know. Many people know. Even before I started Alameen, the first thing I went and did was to ask Qari Sahib for Mashwara. Nobody knows that. So if he had not said yes, there would have been no Alameen today. We'll ask Rana Ayyub to receive the award.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I would say it's a great honor to be here today celebrating the 50th successful anniversary of Al-Amin. And it could only happen with the hard work of all the individuals that are involved here. And certainly it comes with the help from the business community and other associates that have stood shoulder to shoulder to make this a success story. Now, as your Prime Minister always says, diversity is our strength. And Al-Amin has played that role. It has been a voice, it has been a pillar for not only the success of the Muslim community, I can tell you, it has contributed positively in the growth of Surrey, and in fact, in the growth of Canada. And on behalf of all members of Parliament, I want to thank the associates, Al-Amin, and I want to congratulate and I want to wish them well and in future endeavors as well. So, congratulations. And when we were talking about Qari Sahib, see in the likewise, he's not only been is here for the Muslim community, and I can tell you, the community at large, and particularly myself, has a lot of respect for him because I met him many years ago. He has raised two wonderful sons that are also contributing to our country in a very positive way, and they're making us all proud. And I also want to thank Rana Ayyub for you coming and sharing those inspiring words that certainly will inspire someone to fight for justice, equality, and freedom. And as Canadians, we all stand together and we believe in justice, equality, and I'm certain that people in this room, do value that. And welcome you and thank you for sharing those words. Again.
So we'll do one more award and then we'll break for Salah and then 3 awards after that and then we'll go for dinner inshallah. So the next one I call upon, the next award will be the Distinguished Political Engagement Award, and I call upon Brother Firoz Deen for the introduction, and later on I will call upon Izaz Chatta, Sikandar Hayat, Yusuf Al-Barakat to hand over the awards. So 3 items, so follow through please. And we'll break for Salah after that.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before I give you the bio of a very distinguished individual in this community, I would like to recognize your sister. You're a credit to your profession. For a woman to stand up in this community and tell us that we are gutless, We're not united. We need to get together. What has happened to the people in India will happen here. The stage has already been set. You're absolutely right. It's time for our leaders from every little organizations to come together in unity as Muslims. The message you have given us is very strong, loud, and clear. Jazakallah. And may you continue to do the good work that you have set out to do. We don't want to be just cheering leaders for you. We want to see a change in the lives of all the Muslims around the world, inshallah. I'm honored to be introducing a very dear friend, someone who came from the continent of Africa. And I'm sure before he left, he knew all the animals on that land. He was a young man when he migrated to Canada, brought his family here, and started life as you and I have, rented the place, started a job, eventually got a business, got involved in the community. And if you come to a new country and you don't get involved in the process, you'll be left behind. And majority of us have been left behind. This friend of mine is so well engaged in the community that he has built politically, socially, culturally, religiously. He is a very senior member of this community who has helped the BC Muslim Association stand up and recognize a number of issues that have come forward that has affected us directly. The political engagement award goes to a very fine man, fine person, who always thinks about not only the beauty of Islam, but the benefit for each individual. He and I dialogue at least 2-3 times a day on a number of issues. Daily, I should say. Because we work on a number of initiatives. We both are trustees for the BC Muslim Association. We are both pioneer members. He has served very well as a Muslim in this country. Member of BCMA, current trustee. Member of BCMA Constitution Committee, member. Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal recipient. Richmond Aquatic and Older Adult Center Replacement Advisory Committee, 204, past board member. College of Podiatry Surgeon of BC 211, present board member. Office of the Commissioner of Review, Tribunal of Canada Pension Plans and Old Age Security Appeals, past General Panel member. Touchstone Family Association, 2008, present board member. British Columbia Multicultural Advisory Committee, past member. The Spirit of Islam Museum of Anthropology at UBC, past member. It is my pleasure to introduce to each one of you a very dear friend, Brother Mahmood Awan.
Can I call upon Brother Sikandar Hayat, Isa Chada, Yusuf Al-Baraka to come at the stage. Let's move fast. After this, we'll have Salam, inshallah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. It was surprise, Brother Firoz. You have done excellent. This award belongs to the community. I work with the help of my family, my wife, my children, Adil, Kausar, and Noreen. And without them, it's not possible to do the volunteer work in the community. I have done this out of love for the community at large and for the Muslim community as well. I also like to recognize the sister, our guest, with her hard work, and that's what we, sisters, we are trying to do that here as well, but in a different manner. So thank you very much. Thank you again.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
As I said, the next award is Multimedia for Social Change Award, and I call upon Dr. Ghazali. Please.
Assalamu alaikum. The Multimedia for Social Change Award recognizes a passionate social media expert harnessing the power of multimedia to reach larger audience by creating awareness about issues relevant to the community, and ultimately bring about the change within our community and beyond. This may involve engaging the community by documenting issues and challenges faced by the community and combating them by developing lessons in multimedia production, tools, and strategies in order to promote dialogue about social issues and build a more tolerant community so we can all learn and live together in peace. The award recipient is Sister Aisha Azba Amiji.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you very much for this award. I'd like to say thank you first to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also to someone who's here today, my husband, Muhammad Damiji, because it's always a team effort anytime we do anything together. And I'd also like to say thank you to one of our elders who is in the room today, Salaman Pamji. So every time my husband and I think about our contribution to the community, we follow in the footsteps of our grandparents. So Muhammad and Bismillah Shafiq, who are my grandparents, and Suleiman and Kamral Bhamji, who are his grandparents. So thank you for the guidance. Thank you.
So I call upon Brother Musa Ismail, and the fourth award is Human Rights Advocacy Award. Brother Musa. And it goes to Furkan Jalan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My respected brothers, sisters, elders, I've been sitting next to Brother Furkan Jalan all this time. It was hard to keep the cat in the bag and not let it out. Alhamdulillah. But before I give this award, I personally would also like to thank you, Sister Rana, for what you have just said about unity. This organization, all the Muslim organizations represented here, we are trying. I can assure you, we have taken that step few times, and we are very close. Inshallah, with everybody's dua here, we are coming very close. The time is right. It is time for all of us to get together. Inshallah, yes, inshallah, inshallah. So with your motivation, inshallah, I'm going to take the lead and invite everybody to a gathering like this. All the leaders of all Muslim organizations needs to come together, and let's put some plans together to unite and do what is good for the ummah as a whole.
What about women?
Women, of course, the women are part of it. Without women, we cannot do anything. So on that note, let me also take this opportunity, because to me it's more important, very important, to recognize the parents of Jafar Bhamji, Brother Samad Bhamji, and his mother, Sister Maimuna, who are present today. Without their support, Jafar and all of us wouldn't be standing here, presenting on behalf of Al-Amin. So please give us a Now to our individual, Brother Furkan Galen. I have worked with him and attended a number of meetings with him on his initiative. His initiative basically in one line is peace in this dunya. Peace rather than war. Peace by means of mediation. Peace through every means possible. That's his goal, single-minded, one goal. Let's create something, Canada as a model of peace. And in that regard, he has already submitted official documents to the federal government as a private member's bill. Hopefully there's few ministers working with him to put the bill through to the parliament to create a Department of Peace. Yes, Department of Peace in Canada, modeled after another peace initiative in another country, Costa Rica. Thank you so much. So that's Furqan Gillen, which goes hand in hand with what Sister Rana is talking about, and we are all talking about, that we need to push that angle more importantly than anything else. But let's talk about Furqan Gillen. Furqan Gillen is an automation engineer with a background in electrical control system. He has been in peace and social justice activist since 1985. And now recently he got further education by completing a certificate in international development, right, from UBC. Further, he's also now attained a master's degree in peace building from Royal Roads University in 2016. So, great achievement. Again, single focused for the sake of peace, inshallah. He has been very active in various boards of ECMA. He was part of the board on Sari Masjid. He also was the representative of ICI, Human Concern International, from 2010 to 2014. And in 2010, in fact, he was sent to Pakistan to make sure that whatever HCI is collecting money is being used in a proper manner. So he did that project as well, inshallah. His passion is to make world a better place by focusing on resolving problems and looking at the root cause level and making sure a sustainable way of maintaining that peace. Without further ado, I personally want to add that Brother Furqan I've seen him active with the local government, with NTB government, with the Liberal government, with the federal government. He continues to work hard. And I'm making an appeal to all of you. Next time he calls a meeting, because there is going to be a meeting in September 15th, I believe, where the international, the Canadian national person in charge of the peace initiative will be here. You'll all be invited. Please come and support and show, like Sister Rana said, come and get engaged and show the number of Muslims behind this initiative so that it is taken seriously for the sake of Islam, for the sake of our unity, for the peace in this country and in the dunya. Jazakallah khairan, Brother Furqan Gillen.
And joining with me, Brother Harun, to award the award, Brother Harun.
Brother Harun Khan. Brother Harun Khan and I are also now working, and you should know this, that we are in the process of educating many non-Muslim government agencies about Islam in a very basic level, so that they can understand Islam and work with us, all the Muslim organizations, like what Brother Furqan does, like what Sister is doing, that so they understand. With knowledge, they will, inshallah, do much better job. Jazakallah khair. Please listen to Brother Furqan Gillen for a minute.
Sakura, Brother Musa, thank you for the words. And thank you to Alameen Post and to Sister Rana for her wise words. I'm just going to be real brief. I just want to say that anybody wishes to become involved with the Canadian Peace Initiative, please contact me today, because we have a lot of things that are going to be coming up front. There's been a lot of work behind the scenes, so you might not have heard much, but now time is coming where things are going to be coming out and in the public, and we need a lot of people to become a part of this. So please contact me today at this event. Appreciate it. Assalamu alaikum.
Our last award, Valor and Liberty Award, I call upon Brother Daud Ismail, and the recipient of this would be Rana Ayyub. Brother Daud Ismail. And both Brother Daud Ismail and Suf Dilawar will be handing this award.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Brothers, sisters, our guests, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You know, in the making of Gujarat files, we find one Maithili Thaige, hope I pronounced it right, a brave and courageous journalist turned filmmaker who put her life on the line to seek the truth in a sensitive society that is easily induced and provoked by corrupt politicians through flattery, bribery, and intimidation. We learn that Maithili Thaige is none other than Sister Rana Ayyub, a distinguished and reputable journalist who sacrificed 8 months under sting operation to get to the bottom of monstrous crimes committed by very people who are in authority and in position of trust, who were supposed to protect the people. Then she spent 6 months of psychiatric treatment to reverse the impact of being someone which she wasn't initially. Rana Ayyub, this was not only a dangerous exercise, but an overwhelming demonstration of who you really are as a person, an honest, caring, conscious human being. We admire your courage, your determination, and your sacrifice. You are a true hero and a champion of the downtrodden, the Dalits, the oppressed, and the exploited, the helpless and the forgotten people in our society. It takes a lot of courage to do what you have done, and we take our hats for you. We heard you very loud and clear that we need to be very vocal and very proactive. We need to stand up against injustice collectively and stand up for freedom that millions have sacrificed their lives to defend. And we cherish this freedom extremely dearly. On behalf of the Muslims community of British Columbia, the Sikh community, and people of conscience, I thank you for your tedious and courageous work. Thank you for standing up for the justice and fairness. Thank you for exposing the BJP and what Narendra Modi in an effort to hold these perpetrators accountable for their evil deeds. Thank you for opening our eyes, and that we cannot sit on the sideline and expect someone else to carry our baggage. You have opened our eyes. We admire your bravery and your courage and all that you are doing for the betterment of our society. We salute you for your undertaking and wish you every success in achieving the end result. We pray to Almighty God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to protect and guide you. May He give you strength and success in your mission, and in the end, may justice prevail. Amin. it's befitting that you be recognized and rewarded with an award of valor and liberty. Honoring an individual for an outstanding achievement in advocacy through writing, an individual who have demonstrated courage and conviction to ensure justice, human rights, and freedom is assured and restored. Valor and Liberty Award, Mr. Rana Ayyub. Her fearless attitude to get to the bottom of her story has built her stature as a firebrand journalist. Her determination in getting her story told is of her strength. Rana's book, Gujarat Files, Anatomy of a Cover-Up, is post-2002 Gujarat riot in which, according to official data, 790 Muslims were killed while the state police just watched. What kind of a society is this? Official numbers are closer to 2,000 and more than 2,500 others were injured and many are displaced till today. During her investigation, Ayyub, disguising herself as a Hindu, documented the verbatim transcripts of recordings made using a concealed recording device of many bureaucrats and police officers of Gujarat. The recordings in the course of an undercover investigation revealed the views of bureaucrats and police officers on the post-2002 Gujarat riot and police encounter killings. In 2010, at the age of 26, she was able to send through her work Amidst, the current BJP president, to prison on charges of murder, conspiracy, extortion, kidnapping, and 5 other sections of the Indian Penal Code. In October 2011, Rana Ayyub received a Sanskrit Award for Excellence in Journalism, and finalist in the 7th Global Shining Light Award, a prize that honors investigative journalism in developing or transitioning countries done under threat, duress, or other dire conditions. Sister Rana, you are a hero. Please come in and accept your reward.
Okay, reaching to the end. So the last one we will be awarding a Canadian hockey jersey to Sister Rana. And I call upon Esma Patel and Sister Faith. Both of you come. Brother Jafar, concluding remarks, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. It's been a long night. I won't take long. Just thank you for everybody to come and embrace this occasion for us on behalf of Al-Amin on our 15th anniversary. And I would like to actually thank Parshottam Bhai and Brother Gurpreet and Brother Parshottam Bhai's wife. I don't know the name. She's been a very good host for Sister Rana here in Canada. They were the ones who initiated this process and got her here. I just came in between to steal the show, sort of. So thank you very much. And once again, thank you for all to come here and to support us for the last 15 years. Jazakallah khair.
So, peanut buffet table is out there. I think we'll let our guests should go for dinner, inshallah. So this table, sisters, we can meet later on. Let's.